Chapter 15. In Level 5, we learned about the different birds that once existed in the before. Despite the belief that wildlife had perished, they taught that if any animal could have survived, birds would, because of their flexibility in the air. It was important for us to learn about them so we could recognize it if we saw one fly over the open sky of Impetus. One type we learned about was the silver hawk. It is the boss of the sky. Birds will move out of its way when it zooms through. The silver hawk is incredibly perceptive, noticing the slightest movement of a tiny bug from hundreds of feet away. Nothing can escape its sight. Beatrice is the human version of the silver hawk. Not only does she have stripes of silver running through her hair, but her eyes remain on her young and prey at all times. Never once did she take her eyes off of me. There were times I wondered if I was screaming out my plans of escape because it was as if she knew that's exactly what I was trying to do. Somehow she always kept one eye on me and one on every other girl in my level, as though we were in competition. When I finally see Jacqueline, I wave and walk toward her, but Beatrice grabs my arm to hold me back and says, "Tisk tisk. You aren't to talk to any of your level mates until after the futures ceremony. And remember, you will no longer be level mates, only paired or unpaired." She then takes that hand of hers that would have stopped wars if she was born in the before, and waves in such a way that Jacqueline's team scurries away, pulling Jacqueline with them. Jacqueline looks unsurprisingly gorgeous in a radiating amber dress decorated with gold jewelry. Her brown curly hair is pulled to the side, resting on one shoulder, making her look like a stunning movie star of the before. While I am still stumbling in my heels, Jacqueline is walking in her gold-flecked ones, as though she was born with those shoes on her feet. She makes everything look easy. By the time I see Jacqueline again, we are standing by the main stage at the park, as Beatrice is telling me what to expect during the ceremony. My hope for getting to Gavin has diminished. There's no more time. "Evangeline?" Beatrice is standing 2 inches from my face. "You better be listening to every word I'm saying." I refocus my eyes on Beatrice. "Yes," I lie. Beatrice gives me her signature "don't mess with a silver hawk" look, and continues her instructions for how to be seated and where I will walk. The fog hasn't cleared from my mind. What are you going to do, Evangeline? What do you want? Gavin's words. All I can hear are his words. I can see the outline of an idea just barely through the fog, but it's not clear enough. Before I know it, Beatrice is gone, and the future ceremony is in full swing. When the announcement to line up in preparation is made, my mind shuts down even more. All day I've wanted to take action, but Impetus has held me back. Maybe unintentional, maybe intentional. Persistent questions and thoughts, yet I'm nowhere closer to the truth than what I was when I first woke up. But even if I had answers, what would change? What could I do to revolutionize anything? I had no control to even get to Gavin today. This is my future. The regulations will increase. I once had hope with the possibility of being unpaired, but I heard the doctor. We're all paired. Everything is about to change more. There is nothing I can do except try to re-believe in my world. The only one we can change is us. Is another quote from the best quotes of the before. Yeah, the quotes aided to their demise, but maybe it's time for my own demise, in a way. Perhaps I need to stop fighting it. Later today, the doctor will steal me away to run more tests. The eye makeup only causes the color to stand out more. There's no more hiding the changes. My future won't actually be determined at the ceremony, because there's no telling what else may transform at the clinic. The fogginess of my mind moves in front of my eyes as details of the events blur. There are makeshift corridors on both sides of the arena to keep us hidden from the crowd until we step on stage. The men from level 17 are on one side, and us women are on the other. We are instructed to stay in line and refrain from talking or looking around. All we can do is stare directly in front of us. It's not about your level mates, it's about you today, so keep the attention on you. This is your new life, one of the ceremony assistants directs. Pauline appears to be in front of me. As I scan her body, her tapping foot confirms my assumption. I've never seen Pauline be still. No matter what, some part of her body, even if it's just her finger, is moving, tapping whatever is around. Her hair has been curled into ringlets, more structured than mine, and pulled into a ponytail. She's wearing a dark purple dress that sparkles in the light, with black heels. From this view, she looks pretty. I'm sure they've done her up just as much as me. A different assistant instructs us to hike the ramp to the stage and take a seat, starting with the chair closest to the middle, with a back row filling in first. As we near the stage, the applause from the audience grows louder. I follow Pauline, staying a few steps behind. She sits in the last seat of the back row, so I repeat the pattern in the first row. I want to turn and see where Jacqueline is. Using my peripheral vision is no use, since everyone looks so different today. I know she's not to my immediate left, since I'm on the edge of the row, and past that, it's impossible to tell. I keep my eyes forward on the audience. Familiar faces stand out. There seems to be a bigger crowd than they were anticipating because people are standing next to the filled seats. Ribbon ropes off 20 seats in the front row for us to sit in once we exit the stage, after our future announcements are made. Without being able to look to my right, I can only imagine all the men came out the same time we did, or maybe even right before. Because when the last girl sits down, the applause dissipates. The Elders Board filters in one by one on each side of the stage, walking to the seats lined in the middle. When all 10 are standing in front of their chairs, 9 sit down in unison, as the president of the board and the shortest of them all, Mr. Panzioletta, remains standing. He then strolls to the microphone in front of the stage, waving to the crowd in a pageant-like fashion as the audience continues clapping. Mr. Panzioletta remains quiet until the noise dies down.
Today, ladies and gentlemen,
he begins, the wind blowing through the few remaining combed-over dark hairs on his head,
is a special day. It is a day we wait for every single year, since it celebrates a new level of impetus entering adulthood and the beginning of the rest of their lives.
The crowd erupts into clapping again. Mr. Panzioletta pauses before continuing.
This level has spent the past 17 years enjoying life in the community, learning about the ways of impetus and how to best contribute to keep us thriving. Our survival is dependent on raising such intelligent contributors to impetus, which makes this all possible. We have so much to be grateful for, and it all starts with you.
Another round of applause echoes in the sky.
The Elders Board has spent years observing each significant contribution they've made and documenting every natural talent. And let me tell you, there are a lot of talented ones in this group.
He makes the same stiff joke every year, which leaves several audience members laughing at him more than the joke itself. Mr. Panzioletta beams at what he deems to be successful humor and continues on with his speech.
What is important to our future as a community is to welcome our young people into their adulthood roles, which will make both them and Impetus successful. We spend years gathering data to ensure the decisions for their future are the absolute best and right ones to make. Both the paired and unpaired are vital to our community. They keep it running and functioning as we work together toward a bright future that doesn't end in the mistakes of the before. Each role is crucial, and every single one of you is valued. There is no role more important than the others.
An obvious lie. I have to resist the urge to glance at Jacqueline to see her expression.
We have an interesting alignment in this year's level, where there are exactly 10 males and 10 females. Please keep in mind that despite the even numbers, we still examine each person on their own as to whether they are a fit for the paired or unpaired future. We will never risk a future just to honor even numbers.
Another lie. I personally heard them say they will pair two people who aren't supposed to be paired. They just made that change. I want to scream from my chair. I want to tell them I know, that I overheard the conversation and that the doctor is in on it too. My boss, the man who I've worked under for the past 4 years, knows the truth that is being hidden from the rest of us. Instead of screaming, I squirm in my chair, repeatedly adjusting my dress as Mr. Pancioletta drones on. Impetus has told us so many lies, and even now, on what is supposed to be the biggest day of our lives, they continue to lie. And they expect us to believe every word they say without question. They know what's best, but we don't. We don't know what's best for us, for our individual lives. This is wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. You know the truth. What is it? Think, Evangeline. What is the truth? What am I supposed to do? What were my dreams showing me? What has Gavin been trying to tell me?
So, with no further ado, let's begin this year's ceremonial pairing.
Explosions of approval rise from the crowd.
As you all know, we will start by calling the females first. When each one steps up to the front, they will stand right here.
He points at the red X in front of him.
As I read what her future will be. If it is a paired match, when I call the male's name, I want him to join me right here.
He points at the blue X in front of him.
So I can announce them in front of Impetus and make the pairing official. Please hold your applause until each future has been announced.
I need to do something about this. Right now. The microphone isn't too far away. I could simply stand up and tell everyone about all the lies, about how our wrist monitors work outside Impetus walls, and there are other communities they don't tell us about. That they can change our futures the day before the ceremony. That our lives are just a tool Impetus uses to cover their needs and fix their own mistakes. About how they obviously don't care about us or our lives like they claim because they purposely terminate young people and babies. They kill us off like we're nothing, whenever they choose. If the Elders Board tries to deny it, I have the papers I copied. I could pull them out of my dress and hold them up for everyone to see. I have proof. Impetus won't be able to punish me, not in front of everyone who can see I'm telling the truth. The rest of the community will protect me. I count the number of steps to the microphone. I can do it. In just 15 steps, I could save Liam's baby and pairing. I could save us all.